John, do you expect the president would go to Dover for the dignified transfer when these Americans are returned to the United States?
I don't have anything on his schedule to speak to.
Given the fact that while there are Americans in harm's way frequently, it has been a while since we have had this kind of an incident resulting in deaths. Do you think that is a consideration of the public type of response? There are a range of responses the president could use. They go from, military strikes to sometimes it's cyber, sometimes it's things the public cannot see. Do you believe this event rises to a level where whatever the president's decision is would have a public, we would know when?
You mean you're going to know? Well, again, without getting ahead of the president's decision making, I won't do that. And as I said in my opening statement, I'm not going to telegraph punches. We'll make these decisions on our own time. As I said, the president will choose for himself how he wants to respond. And as I said in the opening statement, we'll do it fully cognizant of the fact that now, and what just happened, American lives have been taken. And so his decisions, whatever they are, will be informed by all those circumstances. What that looks like and when that comes, I'm just not able to say right now.
Thanks, Admiral. Was this strike in Jordan fundamentally different than what American forces have been facing for months now? In other words, does the U.S. believe this was a deliberate attempt at escalation?
It's fundamentally different now because we have 3 families who just got the worst possible news. That's different. And the scope of the wounded now, more than 30 injured, some of them seriously, that's also different. And it's possible that the number of wounded could go up. As you may know, traumatic brain injury symptoms, for instance, don't present themselves right away, and that is a very serious physical injury itself. But this wasn't the first drone attack on an American facility in the region. There have been others. And the fact that this one had lethal consequences doesn't mean that the previous ones weren't intended by these Iran-backed militias to have that same effect. This time they killed Americans and they wounded a lot of them. It doesn't mean that they wouldn't have preferred that outcome in the past.
An official has told ABC News, confirming the report about how the troops there had mistakenly identified the drone as one of their own. Can you talk about how this might have gotten past the defense systems at Tower 22?
I think I'm going to let the Defense Department talk about the forensics on this. I'm sure that they are already picking it apart and trying to figure out how this happened, and it'd be inappropriate for me to get ahead of that.
And in your interviews all morning, you didn't rule out a strike inside Iran. Can you just talk a little bit about the array of options in front of the president? And, for instance, could this be in phases? Could we see a smaller scale one, then a larger scale one later? Like what's the array of options?
No, I'm not going to do that. I appreciate the question. That's why I tried to take it out of the consideration in my opening statement. I'm simply not going to talk about that right now.